Democrats are out for blood. They have been, to no one's surprise, aggressively agitating for violent revolution against Donald Trump, the MAGA movement, and everything that we are building in the United States. So, according to Axios, that just reported this again just a couple days ago, Democratic lawmakers are facing mounting pressure from their own base to abandon traditional political norms and escalate their resistance to President Donald Trump. According to Axios, who interviewed over 24 House Democrats, a significant number of voters, many described as white, affluent, and well-educated, because honestly, who else votes Democrat anymore, are pushing for tactics that include visiting ICE facilities with the expectation of being shot or engaging lawmakers to use gasoline instead of extinguishers during political debates. We have a quote to throw up here from that Axios article. If we go to our next slide here, I'll read that off. Yeah, according to what the outlet reports, the grassroots want more. Quote, some of them have suggested what we really need to do is be willing to get shot when visiting ICE facilities or federal agencies, a third House Democrat told Axios. Our own base is telling us that what we're doing is not good enough, that there needs to be blood to grab the attention of the press and the public. That's nothing new. They have been bloodthirsty and angry for a very long time, basically since
their inception.
Their inception, but certainly since Obama was replaced by the big bad orange man in 2016. But it turns out people are listening in numbers that we have never seen before. So over the weekend, a gunman armed with a rifle and tactical gear ambushed Border Patrol agents outside a federal immigration facility in McAllen, Texas. This was Monday morning, I believe. He injured 3 people before he was fatally shot by law enforcement. They gunned him down almost as soon as he opened fire. The deceased shooter was identified as 27-year-old Ryan Luis Mosqueda, who opened fire at the Rio Grande Valley Border Patrol Annex around 5:50 a.m. 2 law enforcement officers and 1 Border Patrol employee were hospitalized, including 1 officer struck in the knee, but everyone is expected to survive.
Including the shooter.
Yes. Well, the shooters was turned into a pink mist almost instantly.
But,
I don't think we'll be lamenting that one. And then just a few days before that, on 4th of July,
This is wild.
a group of armed protesters, again, attacked a Border Patrol facility in Texas, Alvarado, Texas. They were attacked by, I believe it was like 8 to 10 gunmen. They shot 1 officer in the neck, and then were all arrested.
8 gunmen.
8 gunmen. They pull up 8 guys armed, and they still lost.
How is this not national news, Connor?
I wonder
The
why.
Epstein files.
I wonder.
No, but come on, this is a big deal.
Yeah, they shot an officer in the neck. He is expected to survive, fortunately. So, like, this shows...
You say 8.
Yeah, it shows why the left
8
is a
people
bunch
with
of
guns,
It's
they showed up.
It's a complete
Like
joke.
a military type of attack.
That is terrorism.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And the Democrats are calling for blood to be spilled to get the attention of the media. They are calling for violent attacks on ICE facilities because, believe it or not, they'd sooner go to war with law enforcement than see illegal immigrants and criminals and fentanyl traffickers removed from our country. Because turns out, if you remove all the illegal immigrants, rapists, predators, fentanyl traffickers, there goes the Democrat voting base.
Yeah.
So if they ever want to win an election again, they have to make sure they take the ICE detention facilities by force. But this goes even further than just attacks on ICE facilities, because as we have seen for decades and decades, Democrat-run cities continue to be absolute violence-ridden hellscapes. Take this incident from the 4th of July, early hours of that morning in Philadelphia, where a group of people opened fire on the streets, leading to 3 deaths and 9 injuries. Let's roll this clip captured by a Ring doorbell camera. Now, part of why we are able to show that video is because that footage actually doesn't really show anybody being killed. Because while over 100 shots were fired from at least 5 different weapons, based on the caliber type they've been able to identify, only 3 people were killed and 9 were injured.
How many arrested?
They are still looking for the suspects involved. The tragedy...
There's literally, like, I just saw the video right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And they can't identify the guy.
Yeah, shockingly. But it's not just one guy. It's at
I
least
saw two guys
at,
with
le-
guns
at least
shooting.
5. But those are guys returning fire to somebody across the street. There's
Are the
shots
two
ringing
guys
out.
on camera being
No,
caught.
nobody knows. But I do want to point out the one guy closest to the camera seemed to be firing from an illegally modified automatic
Yeah,
pistol
That's
made with a switch kit that converts
I don't
a
know.
semi-auto pistol into an automatic weapon.
very illegal. It's a felony.
Extremely illegal. And yet, the ATF is nowhere to be found.
This is what pissed me off. All right, I think the Epstein thing is very important. All right, I had to do mental gymnastics to like open up the conversation. But this thing right here, and this is what pisses me off. That we're constantly talking about other countries and this and that, and this happened there, and Somalia, and whatever it is. Like this, Connor, if this happened, like in the 90s, like Brandon, can you imagine the headlines?
Be a big deal.
Like
Yeah,
we'll be talking about this for a month.
And that's not like the streets of Mogadishu. That's
Philly.
Philadelphia.
That's Philadelphia, like one of the first colonies. This is insane. Like, how is this not the biggest news this week?
I don't know. And I don't know why he's being like
And-
everybody's
and
being
the
so
guys-
passive about this.
Brandon-
because everything happened over the weekend.
Brandon-
We lost track of every single story that happened this weekend because of the Epstein stuff, which shows that's still the biggest thing, even though they want us to move on to other stories.
But Connor, we had 8 guys with guns go to an ICE facility. Like that's Brandon.
Yeah, and we got people working for ICE dragging their feet. Like this guy told me that he called a tip line to report illegals in his neighborhood, and they started interrogating him, asking him why he thinks they're illegal or like have they committed a crime. So there's some bullshit going on for sure.
Like I think we need to start like sorting out the stories, like the most relevant ones on top. Like not you, you do a great job. I love how you do it. But I think like all the media is just out of whack on their priorities.
Yeah, Fox News
Yeah.
is in ass kiss mode, and CNN and the rest of them are in like attack propaganda mode.
Because even though the Epstein stuff is crazy important and probably one of the biggest stories, it's not light years ahead of stories like this that show the complete degradation of the American lifestyle by like every major city can turn into a war zone if enough people with illegally modified handguns just decide they've had enough of each other. If you go to neighborhoods like that in Philly, almost every person is walking around with what basically amounts to an illegal machine gun tucked into the waistband of their shorts. And like I said earlier, no ATF raids on the hood. There's no FBI surveillance and massive multi-agency takedowns of people who sell the switch kits, who modify these weapons that cause all this destruction. One of the victims, who wasn't on that porch, who was, I believe, in a house nearby, was already paralyzed from having been shot before. He was shot, I think, in 2017. Who was a gun safety advocate, completely innocent bystander, already suffering the consequences of being shot in a similar situation, and now he's gone. It's a tragedy.
Wait, he
Well,
got paralyzed?
Yes.
In his house.
He was paralyzed in a different shooting years before.
And sitting in his porch in his
and-
house.
and-
and is now dead because
And now
of this
he
one.
died sitting in his house.
Yes. So this is what's absolutely insane. Like I said, no ATF raids. But if the ATF catches a whiff that the barrel of your rifle might be too short, or your collapsible
Quarter of an
stock
inch.
is, or you saw off a shotgun at their request, and then they realize you didn't saw off enough, so they honeypot you into sawing off just a little bit more. They'll shoot your wife, they'll shoot your son, they'll shoot your dog, they'll shoot your neighbor, and then they'll round
Revenge.
you up. Yeah, exactly.
They're so useless.
The ATF is the organization responsible for regulating all the best things, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and yet for some reason they are filled with the absolute worst of the worst in the United States
who
government.
did they put on the ATF again?
What do you mean?
Like the Trump administration
Yeah.
ATF guy? Let me check.
I thought they were gonna get rid of it.
No, I thought they were gonna put Brandon Herrera, but that didn't go through. I think they merged departments. They're on their way.
Yeah, I mean they should. I've never heard a positive thing that they've done. I've just heard a bunch of disasters they've
I
been
think the
responsible
same
for.
guy runs like 2 or 3 departments. I might be wrong. I'm gonna be
No,
called.
you're thinking of Rubio, like he absorbed a bunch of things. But
Daniel Driscoll is the current acting director of the ATF, but an official one has not been appointed. Kash Patel briefly filled that role for the Trump administration as well. So Democrats, even indirectly, are turning everything they touch into something violent, something dangerous, something that destroys the American
did they
way
go
of life.
and cry wolf about gun control after this?
No, I actually
Is
have.
it- it
I
is
have heard
weird.
relatively little. Well, you can see from the video, it's mostly black on black shooting, which is when the media completely turns a blind eye to anything and suddenly has no opinions on it. Wait for one white guy with an AR-15 to do something, and we'll get back to those gun control
Yeah.
points you're looking for here.
This is
But-
stupid.
It's just sad.
This is stupid. Like straight up
Mhm.
stupid. Like it looks like what's the name of that movie? Sheesh.
What?
The funny movie.
Scary movie?
Idiocracy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, idiocracy with guns, essentially.
It's just
But back to the point we discussed before that, Democrats are calling for things like this now, not the street level violence. They've had that in the bag forever because all those. Who do you think those guys voted for in the last election?
Connor.
They've already got them on lock, but they're now saying it is time for open warfare against the United States government, against Trump, against his supporters. This is the talk of violent insurrection.
I
and
Yeah.
yet for some
no,
reason,
no, Connor,
right wingers are the
You are
insurrectionists.
right on the money, and I think the Trump administration has a communications problem because what you just said, like, imagine two ICE facilities being shot, one of them by 8 people. All right, this should be a narrative of its own. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I will give it a name and start going like, the war against, free America or whatever. Trump is really good at those things. But that's a missed opportunity. The other one was a fumble. But I think it's just they have their heart in the right place. They just need to communicate things better.
Yeah. It would be great if they could communicate that, but I think part of why stories like the attacks on the ICE facilities and Border Patrol
Copycat.
officers, no, but part of why it doesn't get so much attention is because it exposes how bad the left is at this. Like this guy, you hear a story, lone gunman, body armor, loads up and goes to take out Border Patrol agents and attack an ICE facility. That's a huge story. That's a big deal. This guy gets off like a couple shots and is obliterated immediately. The leftists get in a group. They're armed, they're armored, they go to attack an ICE facility. They hit one guy non-fatally, and all of them are arrested and taken down instantly. It shows over and over again that they are truly weak people who only rely on mob tactics in massive numbers, and as soon as the chips are down, they still fold because they don't have the institutional support that you'd like to think they do.
Oh, and
But-
the martyr that
Mhm.
is coming.
That's what they're looking for. They're
Connor,
not looking
Connor.
for a guy to succeed. They're looking for someone to die in
Die.
a convenient way.
Like, imagine the big deal they made with Luigi Mangione or whatever it is, because he was a hero for fighting the healthcare system. Like, imagine the first guy that gets killed, and maybe this guy, one of them died, right?
Oh, the lone gunman
The lone gunman died.
was killed.
The name hasn't been published.
No,
right?
they published the name, but
Don't
it's,
say it.
it's hard to come to his defense when you have a guy who's just going out of his way to gun down cops. He didn't die in a convenient way. What they need is for an immigrant at a detention facility to die. They need Jorge Floyd. They need some guy to break out of Alligator Alcatraz and get killed by a gator or gunned down by Border Patrol agents. They need somebody they can plaster on everything. They almost got it in Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Yeah, but he
But,
wasn't.
but
he
then
was
turns out he was a
filthy.
human trafficker.
Yeah.
So they kind of had to drop
They're gonna
that
keep
one.
trying. Don't worry about it, and they're gonna
Yeah.
find it.
The tall order has become even taller ever since people kind of saw through the narrative. But until we manage to actually hold people accountable for these calls for violence, it's just going to keep happening.
This makes me sick.
The right doesn't play offense enough. I mean, the left would be having a field day if the right was making these types of calls to action. So I don't know why we're just crickets on this and we're constantly talking about like boring stuff that doesn't resonate with people. So it's a messaging and marketing thing on that side.
You
of
have a
things, too.
channel that you talk about this?
Mine?
Did you talk about this?
Did I talk about that?
Yeah.
No, because it's just. I mean, it didn't really strike me as that crazy, to be
All
honest.
right. You know what they say: if you're not part of the solution,
Well, I've talked about the demoralization of society, though, and I mean that plays right into that. And I've also talked about flooding black neighborhoods with cocaine and increasing the penalties for those things and taking the fathers out of the home. So I think that has a lot to do with it too. So it's a much bigger systematic thing than
I'm just pulling your leg.
I know, and I'm responding to it.
I know.
Yeah, but on that note, everyone should go over when we're done here and subscribe to the Brandon Aceto channel. What videos do you have coming out soon? I think you just filmed one today, right?
Yeah, and I'm gonna release the Clinton kill list, but I hope nothing happens to me as a result of it.
Brandon, are you suicidal?
No.
Okay.
Brandon's a happy man.
We just need that on the record.
So if anything happens, don't let me go forgotten.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.